you wanted to transform your garage floor but just overwhelmed where to start? Well, with WiseBond Floors, you're going to be able to turn your garage into a pristine professional showroom at the fraction of a cost. Today, we're going to go over it all, from fixing those pesky cracks, to cleaning, etching, and priming your garage, to applying the flakes, applying the epoxy, and that protective top coat. All you need is your epoxy kit, another person, and a weekend. Let's get to work. First things first, let's set up our mixing area and workstation. Choose a well-ventilated area, flat, just like the driveway we have it set up here. Grab your supplies, and this is where you're going to be mixing your epoxy and making sure everything stays nice and efficient and clean and outside of the garage. Now we just need to get our PPE and start on our garage. The first step to your epoxy garage floor is to locate any chips, cracks, or voids that you may have. Anything small like these hairline cracks need to be chased with an 1/8 inch diamond cutting blade to about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch in depth. Once you have all of these cracks cleaned out, we're then going to fill it in with KreteBond. KreteBond is a 1-to-1 crack filler that is mixed either in a cup or on a scrap piece of cardboard. Grab equal parts of A and B and mix thoroughly until you receive a nice uniform gray color. The working time of KreteBond is only 2 to 4 minutes, so only mix as much as you can apply in that window. Once a gray color, push the KreteBond into your cracks with a putty knife. Continue to fill them in and feather it along each side. Be sure to get these cracks as flat as possible, but if you do have high spots, these will need to be sanded or ground flat and feathered with a low grit orbital sander or diamond wheel once the KreteBond cures. The KreteBond should be cured in about 60 minutes. Now that we've filled all the cracks with KreteBond and we've allowed those to fully cure, we are now going to sweep so that we can clean, degrease, and etch with our KreteBond Prep to allow the SkipGrind to properly adhere to the garage floor. Mix your KretePrep concrete cleaner, degreaser, and etcher in a sprinkle can 4-to-1 with water, 4 parts water to 1 part solution. Working in manageable sections, lightly dampen the concrete, then sprinkle the mixed solution evenly across the surface. Grab your stiff bristled broom and scrub the solution thoroughly into the surface. Rinse your concrete and allow to dry. Use a squeegee and a leaf blower to remove any standing water. Before we begin the application of any products, we need to tape off the immovable objects. Things like water heaters, drains, and door thresholds need to be taped with a strong painter's tape. If your foundation walls or stem walls are painted, we also need to tape those off, leaving a 1/8 inch gap above the floor, and make sure you press down strongly on the tape so that no product leaks through. If your garage floor has a roundover like this one, you want to tape right to the edge of this roundover, ensuring the epoxy and primer stay where they need to be. If your garage floor is completely flat, you want to tape 1 inch back from where the door hits the floor, pressing down to ensure a nice crisp line. Your tape needs to be removed after each step of the application process to ensure crisp lines and that product does not stick to the tape. When you're applying the SkipGrind primer, the tape needs to be removed while you're rollering, and when it comes to the epoxy and flakes and your polyaspartic top coat, these need to be removed 45 to 60 minutes after your application. If your garage floor has stem walls, cove walls, or vertical applications, you want to take care of those first before epoxying the floor. Utilizing the cove coat, you'll roll it on just like paint and then apply the flakes to it. Let that cure before going to the floor. Cove coat is a single component epoxy. You want to make sure you mix thoroughly into the container until it reaches a paint-like consistency. Scrape the edges and bottom of your bucket to ensure a nice uniform product. Pour out into a paint pan and apply with a brush or a roller. One person applies the cove coat, while the second person applies the flakes with a putty knife, pushing them into the wall. Cove coat is going to be dried to the touch in 20 to 30 minutes, so immediately after application, go back and remove your tape. Now that our stem walls and vertical surfaces are completed and cured, we move over to our SkipGrind Primer. This 3-part epoxy eliminates the need for heavy mechanical grinding, and this is going to prepare our surface for the epoxy floor. This is a 3-part kit, and it covers about 200 square feet. So for some applications such as this one, multiple kits are needed. Only mix one at a time and apply wet on wet. We're going to apply using this squeegee here. This is 15 to 20 WFT mils, and then we're also going to roll with this 18-inch roller. You do not need an 18-inch roller to do this if you have a smaller one, but it will take a little bit longer to apply. First, you're going to want to dampen your concrete with a garden hose and squeegee all standing water. Pour the contents of A and B into a 5-gallon bucket and thoroughly mix for about 30 seconds, scraping the edges and the bottom of the bucket. Then slowly, and I mean slowly, add part C powder. It is critical for you to thoroughly blend and wet out this dry mix. Mixing the powder too quickly will cause lumps in your primer. Pour the entire bucket in wavy ribbons onto your damp concrete, working your corners first, then from back of the garage to the front. Do not tip your bucket upside down to drain. Use your knot squeegee to spread these ribbons and follow up with your roller to distribute evenly. Mix and apply your next batch if needed and repeat this process, working your way out of the garage. Give your SkipGrind Primer 18 hours to cure before applying your epoxy, and wipe your tools down with acetone or xylene to clean. All right, so now we've applied the SkipGrind Primer. We're gonna need to let that cure for about 18 hours. And while it's curing, we're gonna close the garage door all the way down so no debris can get in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back to day 2. We've just come back to our garage while our SkipGrind Primer has cured for over 18 hours. Should be pretty hard to the touch. Now we're gonna do the fun part, applying the epoxy and the flake. Now I'm over here at our workstation where we've got all of our stuff we needed to do the epoxy and the flakes. Our garage is about 450 square feet, so this 3-gallon kit is gonna cover it and it's gonna have more than enough epoxy. You're gonna get about 200 square feet per gallon on the flooring epoxy, so this is gonna be more than enough. I've also have our 18-inch roller, I have our squeegee, and we also have some smaller rollers and paintbrushes to get those nooks and crannies. We've also taken the flakes out of the box in the bag and put them in 5-gallon buckets to make it much easier to toss. First, you want to mix your pre-tinted part A for 20 to 30 seconds, scraping the edges and bottom of the bucket to make sure everything is homogeneous. Then, pour in your part B into the part A container, which is intentionally short-filled so that it can fit both parts. Mix these for 90 seconds, again scraping the edges and the bottom. Have your partner use a brush or small roller to work in those corners and around unmovable objects while you pour the entirety of the bucket onto the floor in wavy ribbons. Begin spreading the epoxy with your squeegee, avoiding puddling or filling your expansion joints while you're spreading. Follow this with your roller, and just like with the SkipGrind, roll the epoxy forward and backward, coating the floor evenly and avoiding any roller lines or edges. When applicable, don't forget the front roundover, and this can be applied with a small brush or small roller. If no roundover, make sure you tape off 1 inch behind where the door meets the floor. With the floor still wet, grab your bucket of flakes and begin flaking the floor. Toss these flakes upward and outward into the air with a light flicking motion similar to feeding chickens. Tossing them high and allows them to fall naturally and evenly into the epoxy. Apply your flakes until your base coat is 100% covered and absolutely no wet or shiny spots remain visible. If you do see any visible spots, continue to toss until they are covered and uniform. A 25-pound box of flakes covers about 200 to 250 square feet, and you want to work systematically towards the exit and let the epoxy flakes cure. The working time of this epoxy is 30 to 40 minutes. We've allowed this epoxy and flake to cure for about 8 hours. So now we're going to scrape off and vacuum any of the excess flakes or any protruding flakes so that we have a nice smooth surface for our polyaspartic top coat. To achieve the scraping, we have a large scraper here to get the bulk of the floor, as well as small scrapers for the coves and vertical applications, and a 5-in-1 tool to get the control joints nice and clean. This step is extremely important to knock down any sharp edges or flake buildup to give you a smooth profile. Make sure you get all of your perimeter walls and corners, as this is where you may have the most buildup. Your expansion joints need to be reopened and cleaned out as well. You do this with your 5-in-1 tool. Finish the cleanup with a broom and leaf blower, pushing all your excess flakes into easy to manage piles, which then can be easily vacuumed thoroughly to eliminate any loose chips before your top coat. Now we've finished scraping all of the protruding flakes and excess flakes and vacuumed them all up. Now it's for the final step, the SparticPro Polyaspartic Top Coat. We've taped off all of the areas that we need to tape off, and now we're gonna get to mixing the top coat. Now we're back over here at the workstation where I have our SparticPro Polyaspartic Top Coat, as well as the tools that we're going to need to get this applied. I have some of the 18-inch rollers for the bulk of the floor, squeegees, and small rollers and brushes that we can get the vertical applications. So with the polyaspartic, it's going to cover about 200 to 300 square feet per kit. So if you need multiple kits, mix only what you can apply in about 25 to 30 minutes before then mixing the next one and applying at that point. So when it comes to mixing the polyaspartic, you want to take your B side and shake it vigorously for 30 seconds and then mix the two into a 5-gallon mixing bucket. Once your SparticPro is fully mixed, immediately pour out the contents of your bucket onto the floor in ribbons. Have your partner begin to work corners, vertical areas, and unmovable objects with a small roller or brush, and you begin squeegeeing the top coat evenly around the floor. Follow up with your roller and back roll the product nice and evenly, avoiding puddles or any roller marks. SparticPro has a pot life of 5 minutes and a working time of 25 minutes, so it's very important to work efficiently. As we allow the polyaspartic to cure, keep in mind your return to service timeline. In 12 hours, you're going to be safe to walk on it. In 24 to 48 hours after application, you may begin to return your belongings into the garage. Be careful not to drag or slide any heavy objects across the floor. 72 hours after the application of your top coat is the industry standard cure time to then begin parking your vehicle in your garage again. Now you've accomplished the professional quality garage floor that you've dreamed of and the envy of your neighborhood. For more tips and tricks, check out WiseBondFloors.com, and if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help you succeed with your garage floor. Get you some!